Hi, I'm Ms. Mathsuoka, and I'm going to teach you about how to condense logarithms. So condensing is the opposite of expanding. With expanding, we wanted to get as many logs as possible. With condensing, we want to get just one log. So we're going to look at our three rules again. So remember, our first rule was right here. We went from the left side to the right side, but now we're going to go the opposite way. So we're going to go from adding to multiplying on the inside. Again, adding on the outside to multiplying on the inside. And then here, this is our second rule, right? So we're going to go from subtracting on the outside to dividing on the inside. And our last rule was having something multiply out in the front, and that's going to go in the exponent. So the main thing, remember, is to get it down to one log. That's your goal, get it down to one log. All right, let's look at our examples. So here's our first example. With expanding, we went, when we did all the multiplying and dividing first, and then we worked with the exponents. We're going to do the opposite order for this one because we're doing the opposite thing. So I'm going to work with the exponents first, and then work with the multiplying and dividing. Alright, I see that I have numbers out in front. Those are going to become my exponents, so I do those things first. So I still have this log base 2 of x plus 3. And then I'm going to have this plus log base 2 of 3 squared minus log base 2 of y to the 5th power. Alright, now I'm going to look at the plus and the minus. This becomes multiplying, that becomes dividing. So we're going to have log base 2. On the top, I'm going to have this x plus 3 times, this is going to be 9, all over y to the 5th. And if you really want, you can write the 9 out in front. It doesn't really matter. If you really want to distribute it, you can, but this is perfectly fine. Alright, so that is my first problem. Done. Okay, let's look at our second example. So again, first thing we're going to do is working with those numbers out in front. We're going to make them into exponents. So this is log base 3 of z, and then minus log base 3 of x to the 4th, and then plus log base 3 of y to the 2/3. So something I want you to notice is that this exponent, when I made this an exponent, I only worked with the number. I didn't work with the negative sign because the minus sign and the positive sign, they're all going to come into play in my next step. So here's my next step. So we look like this. Log base 3 of, on the top, I have z because that's positive. This is going to go on the bottom because it's negative. And this part's going to go on the top because it's positive. Now we have this 2/3 exponent. I'm going to turn it into the root because in my expanding video I talked about how a fraction exponent, that's just like a root. So we're taking the cube root of y squared here. So it's the cube root of y squared. Alright, so that's our second one. So hopefully you've kind of noticed that remember everything that's positive, that's going to go on the top. Everything that's negative, that's going to go on the bottom. So it's the same thing as we did with expanding. Everything that's positive goes in the top. Everything that's negative goes in the bottom. So as you can see here, those both were positive logs. That was a negative one, so that's why those two go on the top. That one goes on the bottom. Alright, let's look at our last one here. So once more, we work with the exponents first. So we have this negative log base, no base, right? It's just base 10. So x to the 3rd plus log of y to the 1/2 power, and then minus log of 3 squared minus log of 2. Now we're going to work with the positives and negatives. So we have log of. This goes on the bottom because it's negative. This goes in the top because it's positive. This is going to go on the bottom because it's negative. And by the way, 3 squared is 9, so I'm just going to write it as times 9. And this is going to go on the bottom because it's negative. So we're going to say times 2 here. One last step, we're just going to simplify this a little bit more. So we have log of, and that 1/2 power, remember that's the square root, so we just have the square root of y in the top and all the other stuff on the bottom. Well, 9 times 2 is 18, so I can simplify that more. So that's 18x to the 3rd power, and that's how I condense it. Alright, here is your bonus question. There's a lot going on there, so we're condensing that. Good luck.